Hi, I'm Phaedra. So first of all, I'd like to apologize for not posting last week as I typically would have. I'm still figuring out the whole YouTube thing, and I realized that with these voiceovers and more drawings in my videos, I need more time to edit and work. I'm not the fastest artist out there, and I have a lot to do besides art as well. I've decided to just take my time and post when I can as to not face burnout. I hope that's okay. Anyway, let's start off into the video. First off, I have to thank Inkyo, go watch them, they're cool, for inspiring me to get back into making and designing self-sonas, or self-insert characters. After watching their video on the topic, I went on to a trip designing a bunch for myself, and now I have a total of 9, including today's designs for one of my favorite childhood shows, Winx Club. Starting us off, I drew myself as if it was a normal day at Althea, College for Fairies. I even designed myself a bonded pixie. Of course, this whole project is under the idea that I'm friends with the main characters, Bloom, Stella, Flora, Musa, Tecna, and Layla. I know Layla also goes by Aisha, but I met her as Layla and will be calling her as such. I watched the first 2 seasons and a lot of redesign videos that went over the basic plot points of further seasons and gave headcanons and rewrites. I even looked at the wiki fan page to do deeper research on the world building of Winx Club. My Sona is basically me, temperamental, go with the flow, clumsy, with trouble expressing herself and her feelings. She loves art, writing, and singing to herself, and her powers consist of darkness, or shadow. I know that may seem pretty dark for a fairy, but I believe, as shown by Murda, there is no difference between witches and fairies other than the type of magic they use and how they channel it. I think, or at least in my version of Winx Club, what you used to learn, or any powerful magic that has been cast on you, can greatly affect your magic, even changing it entirely. More on my Sona's backstory in a little bit. So, in Kiyomi's, my Sona's case, her power is connected to shadows and darkness. She knows level 1 spells such as fixing messes, transmuting objects, and telekinesis. However, Kiyomi is also capable of traveling from shadow to shadow, some level of night vision, manipulating shadows, and dropping temperatures. She's the strongest at night or in dark places and is much weaker in the light. Kiyomi is from the planet Isra, which means Journey of the Night. This is a planet that lives almost entirely in darkness as there is a constant eclipse over the lands. Isra has 2 moons, one holding the constant eclipse and the other on the opposite side of the planet. Despite the constant darkness, the people of Isra are fairly joyful and cheery, having many celebrations for different occasions. As for the backstory, I wanted her to appear in the 2nd season, following Layla. Initially, she's on Darkar's side, as she was captured and imprisoned by his shadow creatures when she was exploring the cave and magics at 15 years old. During her years of not seeing any light, Darkar trained Kiyomi to transform and use her magic for longer and longer periods of time. It got to the point where she could use magic in a transformed state for up to 4 hours with only an hour and a half between transformations. Why didn't her parents come after her? It's a work in progress right now, but for now they were killed by the shadow monsters. Over the years, Kiyomi was convinced that no one would ever love her or come looking for her. That he was all she had left and that he would take care of her. When she's found, it is after the pixies have been saved. Kiyomi has always been a secret of Darkar's, much like Professor Avalon. No one would suspect a fairy should he need a secondary spy to infiltrate. He knew, even with the tricks, that only an innocent fairy would do the trick, and he knew that she would always come back to him because supposedly he had manipulated her enough to think that no one would ever love or care for her like he did. When she is found, she is sparring with the tricks and struggling greatly. The Winx and the Specialist believe that she's fighting for her life when really she's not. Darkar uses this to his advantage, having formally told the Tricks and Kiyomi that should they ever be found, that Kiyomi is to act on the Winx's side. Kiyomi then gets knocked out by the Tricks' magic and is saved by the Winx and then Avalon. She's taken out of the cave, and when she finally wakes up, she sees the sun for the first time in years. Then, with the Winx, she is shown proper love and affection. She temporarily changes sides back to Darkar, however, when the reasoning that she owes him her life because he spared her comes to light. The Winx beat this logic by saying that he could have killed her anytime he wanted, and is just using her. After some time and a mental battle to hell and back again, she permanently joins the Winx and defeats Darkar. Aspira, the Pixie of Wishes, is my bonded pixie. She and Kiyomi met during Kiyomi's time with the Winx Club. Aspira came with Livy from the Pixie Village, and when she and Kiyomi made eye contact, they of course bonded. I think that Bloom and Kiyomi would get on okay. Kiyomi would likely point out whenever Bloom is being selfish and unaware, and I imagine that if Bloom had her wits about her at the time, she would do the same to Kiyomi. Of course, this is not entirely to diss Bloom. I just noticed she's not always all there in the show, often drifting off into her past. Despite their contrasting powers, I believe that Stella and Kiyomi would definitely get along, bonding over setting people up and getting them together. Stella would help to bring Kiyomi out of her shell a bit and be a bit more out there in terms of both fashion and personality. She would also help Kiyomi to come more in tune with her feelings and identifying them more easily. Flora and Kiyomi would definitely bond over plants, flowers specifically. That, and I think that Kiyomi would act as a cheerleader for Flora so that she can feel a little more confident in herself and her abilities. The two of them would enjoy deep conversations and studying together when need be. Flora would break things down in a way that would help Kiyomi to finally understand things. I believe that when it comes to Musa, she and Kiyomi would sing together, occasionally critiquing each other. Both of them are decently tomboyish, but Musa is far more extroverted and socially confident. Along with Stella, Musa would help to bring Kiyomi out of her shell. I also think that she would study with Flora and Kiyomi too, making their study group a trio. Kiyomi would definitely struggle around Tekna, unsure of how to interpret a lot of Tekna's social mannerisms. However, she would have a lot of fun listening to Tekna's rambles about tech, science, and video games. Finally, we have Layla. I think Layla would be mildly suspicious of Kiyomi for a while, having a strange sense of familiarity with Kiyomi, thanks to Darkar, before finally shrugging it off and the two of them becoming close friends. Kiyomi would likely find Layla cool and intimidating due to her opinionated and sporty personality, but notice that even under it all, Layla is just as sensitive as Kiyomi. That's all of the fairies in the main cast. I wrote Kiyomi to be, well, me, because that's who she is. But I also have it so that the other girls are a little more in-depth. I'm not sure how to put it. I know I didn't go into a lot of detail about their relationships and who the other Winx were, but I wanted to give just enough details so that there was a feel for it. And that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you didn't mind my rambling. This video was supposed to be longer, but if I'm being honest, I couldn't figure out what else to talk about. I'm not very good at talking for long periods of time, so I might just be stuck making these shorter forms of content. Yay! I had a lot of fun designing another Sona, even if I did struggle during parts of it. I've been thinking about what to do for my next video, and I've realized I've been greatly slacking on my writing and world building for my story, thanks to all these other projects going on. I was wondering if you guys would be interested in a series of videos sprinkled about here and there of me designing outfits for each of the countries in my world. Maybe talk about them a bit, design some plants, architecture maybe? I don't know. Anyway, that's all I really have going through my head right now. I hope you guys got as much enjoyment out of this as I did. With that, I'm Kiyomi's Storybook, and I hope you've enjoyed your time with me and have a wonderful day.